And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Go to the app, get delivery. They will come right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, or get down to Dayton, Kentucky, Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. Tell them to pump it up and save yourself 15% off of your order. All right, Aaron, we kind of got a lot to get to tonight.
There's a lot happening today.
Yeah, look, man, people are always like, what do you do in the off season? And I'm like, work. This is the UC beat, man. There is work almost every day. Like there may be a day or two here where we look at each other like, yeah, there wasn't much that happened today. But guess what? On most days, there's work. We'll start with kind of the breaking news of the night. Reporting from Rob Doster of Field of 68. Wes Miller is hiring John Hopkins head coach Josh Loeffler. He's been at Hopkins for the last 6 seasons. He spent time at Lafayette, Loyola, Maryland, and Rutgers previously. So this is, to my knowledge, this is something that is tied to what we spoke a lot to Drew Adams about last night on the BCJ pod. Staffs are now expanding. So you're going from 3 coaching assistants to 5 coaching assistants. Now it's still the number is 3 for recruiting. Only 3 of these guys are going to be able to go out onto the recruiting trail. But there are now 5 assistants that are going to be able to help with practice, to do the crazy things that weren't allowed in the past, Aaron, like rebound a basketball and throw it back to the player.
I couldn't believe when he said, I know, I couldn't believe when he said that last night, that he could be at practice, but could not be like on the court, and could tell like Dre, hey, Dre, tell him to do this or tell him to do that, as if he can't hear him. It's right. It's like when you're in a fight with your significant other and you're talking through somebody else, like we all did as kids, I'm sure at some point.
Yeah.
Or
tell her I said.
You're like when you're fighting with your sister and you're like telling your parent, like, no, I'm not talking to her, but you can tell her I said, as she's right in the room.
Standing right there. Yeah. So I'm serious. They were not allowed, if a guy was shooting free throws, if you weren't a bench assistant or a grad assistant, you were not allowed to rebound the ball and throw it back to the player.
How does that change anything? It's so stupid. Like some of the rules they have in place for I don't know, if your job is compliance, I would be writing every single day, sending an email like, here's the dumbest rule that you have. Please change.
So I do think there is some things kind of, and it would have to be, there's some things being reconfigured in the basketball offices. I think that does include putting somebody into the director of player development that DeMar vacated at the end of last season. So there's some readjusting going on, which you would expect when there's a rule change as significant as this. My understanding initially is, and this could be wrong, this is just my understanding, Loeffler will be one of the coaches that is on the court, but not one of the coaches that's out recruiting.
Okay.
So
like what DeMar would have been doing if DeMar was still here then.
I mean, if DeMar was here, you might have wanted him out on the road, getting his feet wet in the recruit. I mean, who knows how this would have worked out. But that's, there's some things are being reconfigured to make all the pieces fit properly and make sure people are in the roles that Wes wants them in going forward. So we'll have more on that as it develops. But to get a sitting head coach that's had a pretty good history at Johns Hopkins, that's a nice little summer coup for Wes Miller.
There's going to be as many coaches on this staff as are players.
Not this team. Not this team. There's a lot of players on this team. If 13 scholarship players and 2 walk-ons, there's 15 guys on this roster.
Yeah. Well, as you're speaking about the 15 guys, they did announce new numbers for the players today. I'm just going to go down the list. Old and new guys here. Dan Skillings, number 0. Day Thomas, number 1. Jizzle James, number 2. Rayvon Griffith, number 3. CJ Frederick, number 5. Josh Reed, number 10. CJ Anthony, number 11. Jameel Reynolds, number 13. John Newman, number 15. Chase Kirkwood, number 21. Vic Locken, number 30. Odio Guama, 33. Simus Lukosius, 41. I think it's the first time I actually said it right. Or is it Seamus? God, every time. So stupid. 44, Sage Tolentino, and 55, Aziz Bandiago. That one, just immediately.
There's no I in there.
Well, there's an A.
An extra A, but yeah.
Anyway. That one for me just brought back a little nostalgia. I hope that means that we're going to get to see some of the Dikembe finger wag. I think that would be fantastic. But those are the new numbers.
Yep. So I was hoping there was open gym today. My understanding is everybody's a little worn down right now. They've had 3 days straight of workouts, 3 days straight with Mike Rayfeld. So the little birdies were not in action today, but being that I was on campus for football camp, you still run into some people in and around the Varsity Village complex and start getting to talk to some people. And the overwhelming consensus is this is the biggest team I've ever been a part of or been around or ever seen. From what I understand, Jameel Reynolds is 6'11 plus. Not quite 7 foot, but 6'11 plus in socks. So with shoes on, 7 foot. Vic, same boat. 6'11, not quite 7 foot. Put the shoes on, 7 foot. Aziz Bandago, almost 7'1. Sage Tolentino, 7'1. Jameel has a 7'3" wingspan. Aziz has a 7'3" wingspan. Vic has a 7 foot plus wingspan. This team is gigantic. And I've heard a lot of talk from people that were surprised at how well-built Seamus Lukosius was, which from what I heard, 6'7", almost 6'8", and like 240, 245 pounds.
Are you ready
is a big, strong dude.
Are you ready to label him an Adonis?
No, I haven't seen him with the shirt. Let's not get carried away. Not get carried away. That's for special occasions.
All right.
Calm down. But just especially from what the people I talked to, just the lower body, the strength he has in his lower body, everybody has kind of been surprised with. Also, from what I've heard, pretty good lateral quickness. Not the exact most vertical athlete, but moves well laterally, and should not be a massive liability on defense. I know like some have feared. Word is CJ Frederick can really shoot the basketball. That's shocking, I know.
Weird.
The 23-foot layup variety, where like the shot might not go in, but when it leaves its hand, you think it is, right? Like a layup, like a guy's going to make a layup. You're like, oh, that's it. That's CJ from 3. I've heard nothing but good things about him since he got back to town. The point guards, so far, everybody seems pretty excited about. I do think both still have work to do on their jump shots. From what I've heard, still a little bit flat. Need to get a little bit more lift on the long range jumper, and it should be workable because they both have good lift on their mid range game. Just have to get both of them get in the gym and get that ball up a little bit more.
Wonder if there's any foreshadowing with Day going number 1 and Jizzle going number 2.
I'm not gonna make the joke that flashed.
Don't make that. I wasn't making that joke. I'm just saying.
I know, but it flashed. I'm not gonna do it. It's how you said it. Jizzle going number 1 and Day going number 2 took me to a place that.
There's the joke. Thought you weren't gonna say it.
I didn't say it.
Anyway.
I just repeated what you said.
Anyway, I just wonder if that's any type of foreshadowing. It's what we're going to see. It'll be interesting to see that.
Not. I don't think what number they picked has anything to do with how they're going to be used.
It'll just be interesting to see that battle play out.
I did hear a lot of good things about how Josh Reed has looked since returning from break. It sounds like he put in a bunch of work when he went down to Atlanta. He's come back confident and looking to elevate his way up the roster. That's got a lot of competition. Like, what did I say? What did I say about Josh and Sage? I said there is a spot for them. They are going to have to earn it. They are going to have to come back and play extremely well. And so far, the early returns since Josh got back are good. All indications are that John Newman looks healthy, back to where he was last summer before getting hurt a week before the opener. So that's a positive. Trying to think of what else. Dan Skillings.
Ray,
people have been pretty, I don't want to say surprised, but they're pleased with where he's at in terms of coming in as a freshman. Hasn't been lost, hasn't been, haven't had to hold his hand. I think that year at Arizona Compass Prep, where he's playing with a lot of real dudes and getting some real coaching, I think that helps. But the word is that he's come in and been maybe a little bit ahead of the initial schedule where they thought he might be. So that's good. Dan, I've heard, is come in and being a lot more assertive, not being as, there were times last year he'd catch it and instead of just using that killer first step, catch it and kind of pause and look to move the ball around. When he did catch it and go, it was dynamite, but he didn't always do that. And it sounds like, he's come back with that mentality to be a little bit more aggressive downhill and attack people off the bounce. So I also heard on Jamil, everybody's wondering which of the bigs is going to be able to stretch the floor a little. A lot of people I've talked to that are pretty surprised at how well he shoots it from outside, at least through the first week or so of being on campus. Said the form looks good, the touch looks good. It doesn't look like he's accidentally making threes. You know how sometimes you can watch a guy shoot and go, you can't keep that up. He can't make that consistently. That's not possible.
When it banks in.
Yeah, no. From what I've heard, his jumper looks pretty good. So he could be the one, even if he's at the 5. It doesn't matter if it's the 4 or the 5 that stretches the floor. As long as one of your bigs, if you're going to play 2 bigs, and I think they're going to play 2 bigs a lot, as long as one of your 2 bigs can shoot a jump shot and the defense has to respect it, you can get by with playing 2 bigs. If neither of them can shoot a jump shot, then they have to stay pretty tied to the lane, and their defenders do not have to come out and respect the fact that you can hit a shot on them. So that would be a very good development if Jamil is a guy that can step out and catch a pick and pop, right? Like set the screen, bang, hit the open 3. You're going to need one of them to do that. I've heard good things about his ability to do so. So that's kind of some of the things I learned while I was on campus today. Did I miss anything? Do you think I missed anything?
No. We also had the Jordan and Nike brands launched at some retailers, and people have been purchasing them as of today. Apparently, the midnight release did not go as planned, but they were available.
Well, I think it was midnight Central. The Rally House headquarters is in Kansas City.
Well, that's a weird time for people buying things in Cincinnati to drop, but
that's their business. Like they're not changing their clocks.
The people were buying in Ohio. They have Rally House in Ohio. You could have done it.
Rally House wasn't open.
No, and you still could have done it online. I mean, you have rolling.
They did at midnight in Kansas City, where the headquarters is.
It's stupid. But in any case, people were able to purchase it this morning.
Does that go for like commitments? Like if a kid lives in the Central Time Zone and he says he's committing at 2:00, he has to know that he's committing at 2:00 Eastern.
I mean,
because it's inconvenient for the fan base.
If you're 18 years old and you're committing to a college, you should know. Yeah, you should.
Especially or you should just be able to look at your phone and be, oh, my phone says 2:00 when I said I was going to commit.
Especially if the college is in another time zone. You should know. Be better, people. You got anything else?
Not a whole lot. Football camp tonight, like I said. I think there's a couple 2025 offers that we'll see come out of this camp. I know there was one quarterback that I saw just a few minutes ago that got an offer. There was a defensive back from Indianapolis that Keegan talked to that I know the staff is very high on in the 2025 class. So keep an eye on that. He also is a pretty solid basketball player. Sounds like while he was here, he met with Wes Miller and staff as well about potentially playing football and basketball in college.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's all coming. I don't think I have much else on that front.
Last time I got excited about a recruit playing two sports, he ended up at Wisconsin. So whatever.
It is what it is. I heard our guy, Michael Kopay, left for Wisconsin. He's an intern for strength and conditioning intern for Brady now. So he's not in the recruiting department anymore.
I'm over this show.
We'll see you next time. That's the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!